I just want to break this down into what it means to the individual consumer and the 23%. So are you saying, Minister, from this and the CSO, that if everything has remained the same for consumers in terms of the vehicle they're driving and everything else, that they can expect to have their insurance premium reduced by 23% this year?
It's the average across all sectors within the industry for motor.
Okay, so if they haven't it reduced by 23%, are we to take it then, if they haven't been reduced by 23% or thereabouts, I mean it might be more than that, are we to take it that they're being ripped off?
No, it's absolutely every premium that's taken out by an individual is a matter for the individual.
No.
And you can call it ripped off if you want, but if I go to a company and have different pricing arrangements, so when I meet the insurance companies individually, we've recently done a mystery shopper exercise with insurance companies. Some companies are double the price of others because of how they price it. You can call it rip off if you want, the deputy, or senator, it's a matter for yourself. But each company has a different method of calculating the risk, calculating the price.
I understand that, but the 23% has to mean something to people. The 23% has to mean something to people. So I'm trying to just get a handle on it because I haven't met anyone who's had their insurance reduced by 23%.
Well, I have.
Have you?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Okay, well, you're okay. In all honesty, I haven't. I mean, I'll give you an example. Even last week, this elderly person, she had a tip with the car she was driving. The other notified the insurance company, obviously, and the car that she tipped into was slightly damaged. Now they went to the garage and it was fixed for less than €100. So she gets her insurance premium request through, and it's doubled. It's doubled. Now, there was no insurance claim or anything like that, nothing. So rang up the insurance, said, you know, have the other party claimed. It was actually doubled. So that's why I'm trying to get to the 23% and what people can expect around this. So you're saying, really, Minister, and I just want to get this clear, people can have a rightful expectation to have their premium reduced 23%. And if that's not happening...
Sorry, Senator, please, don't misrepresent it. The 23% is the calculation by the CSO on the basis of the entire industry of a reduction on average. Now, if somebody is applying for a new premium 12 months later in exactly the same circumstances, there should be a reduction. But companies have different pricing models. Companies are stronger in certain markets than others. Some companies are adverse to insuring younger people. Some companies are very strong with insurance for younger.
Yeah, and I understand, Minister, that, and you see, that's why it's the vagueness and the ambiguity around it and what it actually means for people. I think that's what's causing a lot of the concern and the frustration of the lack of how slow this is taking to impact, and the lack of impact, I suppose, that the report and the groups and all that have been set up are, because it's not making a difference in an awful lot of people's pockets.
I have to disagree with you, Senator. As I said, the figure that was used for the increase was the same figure that we're using for the decrease. So as people saw the premium increasing, and they were calculated on that basis by the CSO, the same figures are being used for the decrease. But let's not tiptoe around this. We have 62 out of the 78 recommendations concluded. Some of the remainder won't be done because our analysis is showing that potentially it would cost too much. But we're down to the big stuff now. The big stuff is the National Claims Information Database. That has got to be got through the Oireachtas as quickly as possible. We're down to the establishment of the recommendations from the PIC report from Justice Kearns, where the analysis is the awards are way out of kilter.
Saying this is almost a job done.
No, what I'm saying is the 23% reduction is because of the 62 recommendations and all of the work that we've been doing by analysing the sector. That's what I'm saying. But there will be a further increase, or further decrease, when we get the National Claims Information Database done. For the decrease, when we establish, sorry, if you let me finish, when we established the Judicial Council, and my view is that the first bit of work that the Judicial Council should do is following on from the PIC report to recalibrate the Book of Quantum. Our Book of Quantum is way out of kilter for every other jurisdiction.
All of that, yeah. We've gone through
Now,
all of that. So
please
that
don't be
happen?
glib about the...
I'm not
the really,
at all.
No, you are being glib.
Minister,
yeah.
I really amn't.
Well,
I really
good.
amn't. I'm here to do a job on behalf of the people
And I'm here to answer questions.
that I represent, and I want to get to the bottom of why they aren't seeing the impact of all of the recommendations that were made, even the aggregate impact of it, that it is not making a difference in their pockets. Now, we can go back to the 3%, 23%, and I don't want to. But when you deal with averages, you know that that this doesn't mean anything to an awful lot of people out there, and it still seems, and from looking at all of the recommendations, that all of the cards are still with the insurance industry, and that's what we spend weeks and weeks examining here about. All of all of the cards, yeah, are with the insurance company, and that they're not. Now, I take it what you're saying, and that you can't instruct them, but the buck does stop at you, Minister.
Well, let me outline again. We've recently conducted a mystery shopper exercise between the Department and Insurance Ireland. So both entities had a mystery shopper exercise for vehicles over 10 years of age. And the variation was enormous. The variation was double between the lowest and the highest. So that's the variation in the market. Now, again, I can't instruct each individual company how to have their pricing structured based upon their risk models. That's a matter for them. But what is a matter for every individual, and I'm making this point all the time, that unfortunately too many people within Ireland stay with the same company or with the same broker. They never change, and there is much better value out there if they price around and get new pricing opportunities, whether with the broker or directly with the insurance company.
So, as the Minister, your message to people is shop around more.
My message to people is absolutely shop around more, because as I said to you, the Department of Finance and Insurance Ireland have just concluded a mystery shopper exercise, and the variations was double between the premium, for similar vehicles, but that's a matter for the insurance companies themselves. They have different pricing models and they have different target market areas themselves.
I think people will expect and do expect more from a minister.
No,
excuse me.
No, you see, please don't try and say that I'm just saying shop around. We have implemented 62 of the 78 recommendations, and that's why you're down 23%. You yourself and your colleague doesn't seem to want to.
Well, my insurance isn't down 23%.
To 23%. You know. What I'm also saying is now the next big stuff comes along: the National Claims Information Database, the establishment of Judicial Council, the recalibration of the Book of Quantum. That's where I would hope we will reduce it further. I would hope and expect. But unless I get cooperation between both houses with legislation to get these pieces of legislation through as quickly as possible, well then we might get stuck at 23%. I don't know.
The legislation.
Pardon?
Have you published the legislation?
Which legislation?
The legislation that you're talking about?
Yes, National Claims has gone through second stage in the Dáil. The Judicial Council bill is in the Shannon. It is stuck behind the Judicial Appointments bill in the Shannon, where there's been 41 hours of a filibuster in the Shannon. Now, we don't have guillotining, and I don't agree with guillotining, but if we get stuck behind legislation, there's a cost. And the cost on this occasion, Senator, in the Shannon, of which you're a member, is that other legislation gets stuck behind it. So the Judicial Council bill is from the Department of Justice. The Judicial Appointments Bill is ahead of it, and until we get the Judicial Appointments Bill concluded, the Judicial Council Bill won't progress.
So you're saying the Judicial Appointments Bill is holding all of this up, and obviously, and I do acknowledge that it is Fianna Fáil that's and the Independents and Labour that's holding that up.
Well, can I just make the point as well? In the Dáil chamber, there's been a filibuster and other legislation. We've only so much governmental time available. That's why I'm asking very openly, very clearly, if any opposition party, whether party or independents, want to make time available get this crucial legislation through, I'll take it. We're ready to go, Senator.
Well, we can work with you. Now, I just want to go to returning immigrants and what difference they can expect. And if you're saying here that they can, that's their driving record is to be recognised?
If it's verified, yes.
If it's verified, and if it's not, if that's not happening?
Well, the agreement is that it has to be verifiable. So if you had insurance in another jurisdiction, it shouldn't be that difficult to get that information and have it provided from the previous jurisdiction.
And if it's verified and it's provided to the insurance company and the insurance company is still not allowing that or acknowledging that, what happens?
Well, they should be, because the protocol has been agreed between Insurance Ireland, Department of Finance, and as you know, the insurance companies are part of Insurance Ireland.
Okay, but if it's not happening, what happens?
Well, it should be happening.
But if it's not happening?
Well, then it's a matter for somebody to perhaps go to a different insurance company with their verifiable information.
So your message to them again is shop around?
You must always shop around, Senator.
You see, this is the problem.
No, sorry. The problem is you expect me to be able to say, take that individual. I don't have that authority. No minister in any jurisdiction in the European Union has that authority, and that seems to me not computed by your side of the house.
No, I expect you to hold the insurance industry
as we do,
to
and we've implemented a protocol so that if it's verifiable, the insurance companies should take it into consideration.
But the protocol, if you can't hold people to account at the end of the day, the protocol doesn't mean anything.
Pardon?
The protocol doesn't mean anything.
Well, of course it is. It means something.
But if
I can only
don't have to adhere to it.
When I came into the job initially, Senator, I had a huge number of representations from returning immigrants. Huge number, that they couldn't get insurance. They weren't being quoted. So when the protocol was agreed between Insurance Ireland and the Department, and subsequently the companies within Insurance Ireland, I have had very few representations. I don't think I've had any in the last 3 to 6 months.
Okay, so people need to make representations if the protocol isn't being agreed to, which it isn't.
Pardon me?
Have we a way of measuring if the protocol has been agreed to?
Well, we have a number of declined cases, and those declined cases, again, have also decreased significantly. So
declined
cases, totally declined, yeah.
And
by insurance.
Where do those figures go to in declined cases?
They come from Insurance Ireland to Department.
And when you say declined cases, do you mean completely declined cases?
Yeah.
But what about ones that, will give a price, an enormous price for somebody returning? Are you counting those cases?
No, declined cases where they're not quoted at all.
Not quoted at all, yeah. But you see, it's the ones that are given extortionate amounts or figures, being quoted extortionate figures. So you're not capturing that information?
Well, no, we're capturing all the information, Senator.
For returning immigrants who are quoted, thousands of euro for insurance.
Senator, maybe there's a bigger issue in your neck of the woods, but we're getting very few. We're getting very few representations from anybody in relation to returning immigrants.
Yeah, I don't think anything has changed. I don't think the protocol is having the impact that maybe you assume that it's having.
If people weren't getting insurance, it would be coming back to the department. It would be, because on any occasion there's an issue with insurance, like the 10-year-old cars, the department gets a huge number of representations. So we were previously getting representations about returning immigrants. That seems to have stopped.
So you're saying that's solved as well?
Well, I'm saying that it's improved significantly.
Okay, you might find after today that your number of representations will be increased.
And Senator, if that is the case, and if something that isn't happening and I'm not aware of it, I want people to make me aware of it.
Okay, appreciate that. I just want to ask you finally, if somebody makes a claim against me this week, will I know about it? Will I know about it until my insurance premium next year goes up?
No, yes, you should be informed, yes.
So you will be notified of it. So the protocol for policyholders to be notified of claims made against them before settlement. Are you saying that that has been done?
It's not been done, but that's a general insurance companies do notify. There are cases but we need to do legislation for that.
Yeah, it's legislation to instruct insurance companies to do that. but in general, insurance companies are informing people that there's a claim against them. So if we want to have it that they're obliged to do so, it's legislation.
So you have instructed them, or you have asked them to do that. So the protocol is. See, what does protocol mean in the sense? So the protocol is in place for policyholders to be noted of claims made against them before settlement. Is that protocol in place first?
It's not in place, but it's accepted that in general the insurance company informs the person that there's a claim against them.
But it's a very explicit recommendation within the within
yeah,
the
and
report.
we've to put legislation in place, Senator, and to do that, to make it an obligation, to make it legal, to give it legal effect rather than agreeing it. And some of these things aren't going to be done, and some of them are going to be done. As I said, 62 out of 78 are concluded.
So when, okay, so you need the legislation. You cannot put the protocol in place without the legislation. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying to make it legally operable, to make it that they are obliged to, an insurance company is obliged to tell.
Can you put the protocol in place? Surely there must be some
goodwill
here coming from the insurance industry.
Isn't agreed. The protocol isn't agreed, but the insurance companies are in general informing people that if there's a claim made against them.
You know they're not, Minister.
No,
they're not, Minister.
They would agree to the protocol then if that was the case.
They are.
Sorry
Yeah.
for it.
In general.
Yeah, no, that's, you know. But have they told you, yeah, and I'm really just going to finish on this, but have they told you that they won't accept the protocol?
They haven't agreed to the protocol, insurance.
So they won't accept, they won't accept it, basically.
And if we want to do this, we have to make it an obligation, we have to pass legislation.
So you have to pull them through legislation order. They won't even do that. Like, this is just unimaginable, that they won't even tell people when there's a claim made against them. I think that really speaks volumes.
Sorry,
because I think it's indicative
again,
of
Senator,
how the insurance
Senator,
industry haven't been impacted at
Senator,
all by any of this stuff.
No, of course it's been impacted. Again, there's the misnomer here is I can instruct them to do things. I can ask them. And if I ask them and they say no, we can try and then agree a protocol with Insurance Ireland, which covers only 70% of the sector. And if they say no to that, the only way then is for the Oireachtas to pass legislation.
And they actually have said no. And see, this is quite unbelievable for people that they would say no, that they won't give the information to people if somebody wants to claim against them.
But most companies have agreed that they will inform the insured person that there's potentially a claim.
See, we have most companies, and really they don't understand, but when is the legislation? Is the legislation prepared for this?
No, it's not, because I've 5 other pieces of legislation ahead of this. Much more important than this. Much more important.
How many pieces?
5.
5 pieces that are much more important than this.
Absolutely. I mean, we can get caught up in that this isn't done, but this isn't the all and end all. That's a very small issue that you're talking about.
Minister,
I have the National Claims Information Database. Big piece of legislation to be concluded. We've just finished the insurance amendment bit. I have to say, with your support and help, was passed through both houses very quickly. We have the PIB amendment bill. We have that's with the Department of Justice. We have the Judicial Council bill also. The PIB bill is with business, and Judicial Council bill is with justice. So they're much more important than that you're talking about. That's a very small, tiny little thing.
Mr. Why do you think the insurance companies won't do something as simple as telling people when a claim is made against them before they settle it? Why, you know?
In general, it's covered by the Consumer Protection Code. So it's in general, it's covered by the Consumer Protection Code. It's a small little thing that you're raising, Senator. We have much. No, it is. No, absolutely it is. It is. We have the National Claims Information Database. We have the fraud database to be concluded. As I said, with the PIB amendment bill, and we have the Judicial Council. That's the big stuff. That's the big stuff. What you're talking about is tiny. Tiny.
For people, they want the truth, and they want.
If you think, Senator, that that's the big stuff, you don't understand what you're talking about.
You don't want to think a mayor would be worthwhile looking into sometimes, Minister. Seriously.
Well, you have
I think that attack is wrong. In fairness, your officials are telling you whether the protocols are implemented or not. It seems as if you don't even know yourself.